resting high on its rugged mount. Witness to more than a century of seasons. Split Rock Lighthouse. No longer sending signals of safety, but still a striking symbol of guidance and romance. No wonder it's the most photographed place in Minnesota and attracts visitors from around the world. Even when Split Rock Lighthouse was still in use, guiding ships to 2 harbors and Duluth, it beckoned sightseers with its stately presence. By day, the lighthouse keeper, his assistants, and their families kept up the buildings and grounds, and kept up with tourists.
July 4th, 1936. Very busy day with the tourists. Approximately 2,000 visited the station. 740 registered. Took all 3 keepers to handle the crowd and protect the apparatus. Souvenir hunters.
Split Rock stood in isolation for over a decade, only accessible by boat. In 1924, Scenic Highway 61 opened and brought sightseers and adventure seekers to gaze at the splendors of the North Shore. Cafes, resorts, and gift shops sprang up. By 1939, Split Rock was declared the most frequently visited lighthouse in the United States. But take away the tourists and the road, and what was this place like?
To those familiar with Split Rock Lighthouse Station as it is today, accessible by a fine highway, it would be difficult to visualize the wilderness that encompassed the region in 1909.
When Ralph Russell Tinkham designed the light station in 1908, he didn't care about scenic beauty or tourism. Tinkham was driven by the demands of industry.
When it became generally known that iron ore in large quantities and of commercial value had been discovered, mining men, businessmen, and laboring men flocked into Old Massaga, all bent on finding iron ore.
Or to supply the sprawling steel mills of industrial America. Minnesota ironed for a booming new empire of steel ships, railroads, automobiles, and skyscrapers. Once the Iron Range opened, eastbound shipments of ore rose at a spectacular rate, from 2,000 tons in 1892 to nearly 25 million tons by 1905. And Minnesota was perfectly positioned to send its ore to those steel mills across Lake Superior, the largest freshwater shipping lane in the world, or filled the holds of freighters docked at 2 harbors and Duluth. Ships got bigger and the cargo more profitable. Ships would even tow barges to double their loads and their profits. The industrialists had dollar signs in their eyes. But ship owners were cutting corners and pushing safety margins, and more ships were going down than ever. Shipping extended later and later into fall, a volatile season on the Great Lakes. Just as it was on November 28, 1905. It had been a profitable year. Dozens of ships were making the season's last run. All that was needed was a strong finish in November. On November 27th, storm signals were hoisted. An enormous cold front was sweeping in from the Dakotas. That evening, snow began to fall. As the night wore on, winds grew stronger, reaching 70 miles per hour by the next morning. It blew that way for 12 hours, sealing the doom of the ships and barges hugging the jagged lakeshore. A shore now so dark, the ship's captains could no longer see it or escape it.
Nobody realizes how a man feels when he is in a storm of that kind.
100 times while we struggled with the gearing. The hopelessness of the effort chilled my heart.
It was like a man sentenced to be hanged, and is simply waiting for the hour to come.
Dear son,